Hello everybody, and welcome. This is the qualifying session for the first race of our double header today. We are at the Oulton Park circuit, just quite near Liverpool, and we're going to head down south later on this afternoon, and we're going to go down to the ever historic Broad Oak circuit, lying in the heart of East Sussex, near the town of Heathfield. But first, let us turn our attention to this wonderful track. For those involved in UR2D Esports, it was raced in the Esports Leagues back in Season 12. Early in that season featured a very dramatic ending. I'm sure we can see quite dramatic scenes here today. First of all, let's have a look at the upgrades coming in to this race. Much fewer than last week, especially for the Aries team, run by Juan, sponsored by NASA. Double acceleration upgrade only for them, and a poor first and third roll, meaning it wasn't going to be anything more than that, despite very strong 177. Then it was only a single acceleration upgrade for the Nacho Racing team. That is particularly bad news for them, but it doesn't seem to be putting Nando's down too much. He is currently the fastest car in this session. We'll take a look down at Shock Motorsports. They did get a speed upgrade. Neither of their grip upgrades succeeded though, but they do move on to level 2 speed. It was a successful week actually for Anwar. They got an acceleration upgrade and 2 grip upgrades, and then it was 2 acceleration upgrades for Canis Virtuosi. That does leave the teams looking a little something like this. 17 upgrades now stand Nacho Racing. But they only just increased that. Canis Virtuosi up to 15 upgrades, 13 for NASA Ares, and then it's now 11 after Shock Motorsports got 1, and Anwar with their 3 upgrades, putting themselves back into that somewhat competitive pack. And you can see NASA Ares doing particularly bad with the balance of their car. No power stats, that's speed and turbo, on that car whatsoever. They're standing at 3.8 on the standard differential, standard deviation rather, and Shock Motorsports doing a lot better. 2.324 puts them on 1.0 SD, a much more well-rounded car, but that's not necessarily everything. Nandos has lost, however, the pole position by 0.2 of a second to Charlie. As it stands, still have a lot of room to change this. This will be their penultimate lap. They get one final flyer on this particular occasion. Nandos is still looking for that pole lap. If he can pull it out of the bag, it was just the one upgrade, remember, for the Nacho Racing team this week. So he'll need a real banger to manage it here. Charlie still looking competitive with that lap time. Will Nandos improve? No, he won't. Charlie, it looks like, will take pole position here in his home race. Well, they all are, but still, in Oulton Park. So there we go then. FRL Charlie starts on pole position. The man from Somerset for the Anwar Racing team, who did the best out of any team in development for this double header, bring the pole position and the pace here in Oulton Park. Nandos Good will start second place on the grid. He was 17 hundredths of a second back in the end. Pilatos will start from third. Then it's Jules starting from 4th, just 2 spots behind his teammate. Hupov starting 5th with his teammate on pole. Not a good qualifying for the NASA Ares cars. 6th and 10th for Axperial and Bubbles. It's an all Canis Virtuosi row 4 quiche out of Wojtek Samahat. Gold plays in 9th position. Now this is very interesting, particularly when we look at the token spend for today. Bubbles and Experial spending absolutely nothing, but then look at this slew of teams. Aside from the Canis Virtuosis, everyone's spending, and that in particular is pertinent for Nandos Good, spending 3 tokens today, while everybody else spends 1 or none. This could be the win handed to him on a plate, but not if you go by the qualifying results. A win here for Nandos Good would give Nacho Racing all of the wins that they need to guarantee automatic promotion to Journeyman Virtual for Season 8. So this could be absolutely massive. Nando's good with 3 tokens, Duel with 1, both Shock Motorsports, Gold Plays and Pilatos with 1, both Amoir Racing Team cars, FRL Charlie and Hupov with 1 each, Quiche and the Wojtek with 0 tokens, the only tokenless team other than the NASA Aries. Right, we'll take a quick look at the standings before we get straight into it all. Just looking first at the driver's standings. Quiche is your championship leader, no tokens spent for him this race, nor for his teammate Samahut in 5th. Duel and Bubbles are 2 race winners, 2nd and 3rd, but remember, it is the wins that count in this, getting your team promoted, and I think largely drivers will see this Drivers' Championship as just a bonus on top of that. But Axperial, 4 tokens left, he could be a real force of nature if he can get good results already. A 3rd place without any tokens earlier on in the season in that last race in Glasgow, so he did very well there. And yeah, Nando's good, you know, could put himself right up near the sharp end. A win today would put him likely top of the championship. Finally, we'll switch over to the Teams Championship. This is where the real prestige is done. It's NASA Aries just ahead of Canis Virtuosi, who may be one of the unluckier teams if they don't walk away from this season with anything. They scraped through by the skin of their teeth into the playoff rounds, but they've done so well in the first couple of races. However, if Nacho can win today and if Nacho can win this race and NASA Aries managed to win, Jesus, I can't speak today, either the next race or the finale, that will render all of Canis Virtuosi's efforts in getting 3 podiums in 2 races, including a double in Silverstone, completely worthless. But that is all to be decided soon. This is the Oulton Park A-Prix. Here we go then, 25 laps ahead of our drivers. We are underway here in Oulton Park. It's a decent start for Charlie, but Nando's does start on the soft compound tyres. He is, though, immediately under pressure from Pilatos. Pilatos goes down the inside of the hairpin. Can he keep the position? They're going to drag it all the way up to the chicane, but Nando's keeps the position. Duel gets through. Hupov looking to put pressure on Pilatos. The Brazilian dropping like a stone, it seems, as the Brit gets through. Duel actually falls back a little bit. Wojtek Samahut now enters the fray. Axperial, Gold Plays, Quiche and Bubbles off to a pretty slow start in this race, but it's the front 2 leading away as they were on the grid. A lot of laps in this race, a lot of time for these drivers to sort out their positions and get into their desired spots, but it's not an easy overtaking track, particularly going through the dirty air behind another car in that chicane section can be costly. Pilatos back up into 3rd position for the single token spenders. A reminder, it is no tokens for either NASA Aries cars, it is no tokens for either of the Canis Virtuosis, it is 3 tokens for the man gunning for the lead here. Nando's good still can't quite manage it, and it is 1 token for every other driver on the grid. The longer that Charlie can keep Nando's behind and just frustrate him, the better, because he's not spending as many tokens and he's on a slightly, still competitive, but slower medium compound of tyre. Hupov has made his way up into 3rd. We'll go back to that battle, but looks like Nando's shaping up for a move into the hairpin. Nothing comes of it. Wojtek starting to lose a little bit of grip. Duel might just look for an outside line through the chicane. No, he just gets forced off there. All the while, Nando's good. Now dropping back a little bit from Charlie. Will use a boost to try and compensate, but I think Charlie does have a little bit left in the tank himself. He'll be looking to just use that, can't really pull away, but as we head to being 20% of the way through this race, Nando's with a really good, well-timed bit of boost there, up the inside at the hairpin. There was nothing really that poor old Charlie could do about it. His teammate had a fantastic start up from 5th on the grid. He is now in this conversation for the top 3 and actually starting to put pressure a little bit on good old Chazza. Duel and Wojtek ferociously fighting through turn 1 here. Very edge of your seat kind of stuff. But all the while, Charlie has gotten his way back up to the back of Nando's good. If he could re-overtake here, that would be big. But again, it is just that second chicane, so difficult to follow through. Hupov looking to claim his first podium. He's had a really poor start to the season. He's bottom of the championship. He's finished 8th place in both races, and that was, I believe, spending tokens in at least one of them. I think so. Let's check. Oh god, he must have done, yeah. I think he's spending 1 in every race and 1 token for each of those P8 finishes when you contrast it to the likes of The Canis Virtuosi is a P2 tokenless for Quiche last race, and that's just really, really poor from Hupov. So he does need a little bit of luck of his own. I think a single token spend for a P3 would do him the world of good here. He's just right on the back of his teammate. They're going somewhere in synchrony, but he does put just half a nose alongside him there. He is starting to press his teammate. He might be on the radio to Amwa. Poor old Amwa. Back at the Macedonian team HQ. Going, I want to be in this second place. Let me through on my teammate. Duel now. This is really interesting. We'll make a pit stop here. Goes onto the hard compound tire. You will need that to get to the end of the race from here. He pits very early, actually. He's going to have to do a whopping 17 laps on this second stint. The hard only is tipped to go 13, so it really is a one-stopper versus two-stopper. Nandos will be in a little bit later, 16 laps. Oh no, he's going for the soft two-stopper for Nandos Good. This could be really interesting, especially if and when the rain comes. But Hupov will be on the radio to poor old Amwar being like, let me through, you know, I want this position. I want to show what I have in the tank, because my teammate, he started on pole, he lost it. I started in 5th. I've gained all these spots. I should be up there. I should be the one fighting at the front. These medium running Amwar racing cars on the same strategy. What can they do here? Nandos Good all the while on the soft is looking to make that undercut happen. Something else to look at, although Duel has dropped in pace on that hard. 24.78 for him on the last lap. It's pretty slow. It was slower than Quiche on old hard compound tyres. And Duel did pit a couple laps ago now. Pilatos though with a very slow lap as well. 4 seconds off the pace there. Hupov is in onto the hards. He will come out just behind Gold Plays. Unfortunately for the Brit, he doesn't quite manage to get the position there in 3rd place. Nandos Good still closing in on Charlie, but it has been a good while. Charlie might just be waiting out for the rain, you know. That is a viable strategy to take. Hupov also was disappointing in the group stage. He was very much carried by his teammate Charlie, who got podium in the Lausitz Ring, a win with pole position in the Norris Ring. Hupov's best result was a P5 finish in the Norris Ring with the fastest lap. He also finished 5th at the Saxon Ring, but he came 8th out of 10 drivers in the championship that season. He's only finished 8th so far in this championship in the playoffs, and he is now looking for his first top 4 finish of his career. Could he even get on the podium? Well, that remains to be seen. Duel, the undercut did not work out for him. He really dropped back as a result of those hard compound tyres. Hupov was still putting in good lap times. He came in, he pitted, and he's come out considerably ahead. Now you can see Nandos, who has now taken the lead off Charlie as Charlie's headed into pit lane. Hupov will come through and he will get his teammate, it looks like. This is the undercut that they've been promising. Oh, it's really risky for Charlie. If the rain comes now, that's his entire strategy in the bin, because he is 7 seconds off the driver who he was right on the tail of initially. Well, more than that, because his teammate is the one in 2nd place, not him. Surely Hupov will be asked to move aside and play a little bit of the old team game to let Charlie through on the softs. I think that is the compensation for giving Hupov the undercut, is that Charlie gets the softer tyre and an easier route through. But look at this, Nandos is just going to be looking to extend this lead that now sits at about 9.5 seconds. I think this could be pretty insurmountable and could hand Nacho Racing their spot in Journeyman Virtual Season 8 already. I believe they would be in JV East, so we'll have to wait and see, but it would take something. It would take Nandos coming in and then the rain coming, essentially, and it's not entirely likely that he's come into a bit of traffic and Bubbles, the dominant race winner last time out, struggling a little bit more without his tokens. He is well down the order in last position. Hupov in 2nd. He's on still pretty good condition hards compared to Nandos' pretty old softs, but he's made really good use of those softs. Charlie still on great condition softs. Duel, his hards are still holding up, but he will struggle to stretch them all the way to the checkered flag. Gold Plays doing pretty well on his hards. I tip him to take 4th here. Nandos is in. Interesting that he will need very inconveniently timed rain, and even then he might not lose the position if Hupov can't get him here, which he doesn't. The gap that he had was so great. Hupov just comes right up the back of him, rams him in the rear. I mean, it would need rain to come right now, because Nandos will already be looking at building a gap, and Hupov, I'm afraid to say, just hasn't really played the team game today. Charlie was in on that same lap as Nando's, despite Nando's taking the 2-lap undercut there. So it is a terrible strategy for Charlie, who pitted 2 laps later than Nando's, or 3 laps later, probably about 2, on that first stint, and now the rain comes. Duel, the first driver in, I think he was pitting anyways, but he does take the wet weather compound. Nando's, though, is just still in the clutches of Hupov, who has played his strategy perfectly according to the conditions here. Charlie will be absolutely kicking himself at this moment in time. Hupov, well, does very briefly take the lead. That is because he has the slightly later pit box. He takes the intermediate tyre. That is an interesting strategy, and it looks to be the right one. Will Charlie take an inter? Will he go straight for a soft? I don't know why he's gone for a wet there. I think he should have pitted for another soft. Duel will come through, and incredibly, his strategy seems to have worked. He was banking on late rain to save him from an awful end to his hard tyre stint. And late rain he has got. Charlie loses another position to gold place. He's now down into 5th place. Nando's is slightly held up behind Bubbles. I don't think there will be too much of a difference between the wet and the inter, but by logic alone, it should be Hupov enjoying these conditions a little bit better. I think he is, he's closed that gap to just under a second now. He could do even more, but I think the lack of tokens in comparison to Nando's just means that the race win slipping away for the single token driver. He does stay out another lap. This is really, really interesting. So Nando's now on the softs. Hupov will have to go 3 laps to the end if he isn't going to come into pit lane. I think he will, but the inter runners do have a tendency to stretch that extra lap just in case the rain decides to make its way back in. Duel in, gold plays in, Charlie in. Charlie will at least be looking at a 3rd place finish, getting the cars ahead of him, and all of the respective drivers come in. I believe that is now Hupov into the pit lane. It didn't work, but he can be proud to have led as many laps as he did. Nando's comes flying through turn 1, and Hupov, with the slow acceleration, will take his time to catch up to the back of him. But looking like a foregone conclusion now. We'll keep you in check for the fight over 3rd. Let's tell you we've turned into a bit of a fight for 4th. In all honesty, Gold Blaze and Charlie, the 2 close drivers in the grid. Pilatos and Wojtek somewhat close as well. Experial also not far ahead of his teammate Bubbles. A very poor race for the NASA Aries team, but on what is effectively a victory lap for the Spanish driver. He won the very first race of Apprentice Virtual Germany at the Hockenheim Ring, but this will be the win that counts. Nando's Good wins the Oulton Park A-Prix and confirms Nacho Racing their spot in Journeyman Virtual East next season. A great effort from the Spanish driver, from the Finnish team, from his American teammate. They have bagged themselves a promotion. Hupov finishes 2nd place in the end. He'll be very pleased with that. His first ever podium, even his first top 4 finish in Apprentice Virtual in his career ever, really. A great result for him, and Duel did get bailed out by the rain in the end. It's amazing points for the Nacho Racing team, particularly with the fastest lap of the race coming their way as well. That will see them pick up a lovely 19 points off today's race. So, be delighted with that. Gold Plays was 4th, and Charlie, who looked the main competitor to Nando's Good at the start of the race, played the strategy wrong, got undercut with the soft tyre versus the medium, despite really good pace on that medium earlier on, and then wasn't able to make or take advantage of that slightly longer 2nd stint. Came in too early, rain got announced, and he wasn't able to capitalise on it like his teammate did. 5th place in the end for him. Gold Plays finishes up in 4th place. He took pole last race, but this has been his best finish in the playoffs. He managed a P2 at Watkins Glen at the very end of AV USA, but this is his best finish since then. Pilatos took 7th place, Wojtek Summerhut in 6th, just ahead. It's also a really poor day for points for the NASA Aries team, who already came into this, I believe, not leading the championship, oh no, I think they were leading the championship, but only by a couple points. So to pick up only 3 points today, they will need to make sure they can win one of those final 2 races to absolutely ensure themselves that promotion. But it was a 6th place for Summerhut, 7th for Pilatos, 8th for Quiche, 9th for Experial, and 10th for Bubbles. We roll on the 2nd race at the historic circuit of Broad Oak. Hello, and welcome back. This is the second race of the doubleheader. We are here at the Broad Oak circuit. This circuit does have real history behind it. In Ultimate League, or as it was known then, Sunday League, in Season 6, a team sprung up, evolved from Heritage Performance, which still exists in its reformed version in Challenger League to this day. This team was called Russo British Racing, and it was a mighty team. Fantastic victories it had over its years, such as finishing 6th in the championship in Season 6. But when this team sprung up, its headquarters were based in East Sussex here, near the town of Heathfield. Specifically, the headquarters are at a little place called Blackboys, and this circuit, just the other side of Heathfield, is based in a tiny little hamlet called Broad Oak. The fields running just south of the hamlet host this wonderful circuit. It was used then in Sunday League in Season 8, playing host to one of the first races, I believe the 8th ever race using a custom workshop track in Sunday League, and it played host to a fantastic fight for the race win between Nuno, one of the all-time greats, and Gamer, the to-be world champion, looking for victory on his maiden race, returning to the sport with the Rapid Motorsport Collective team that took over the RBR headquarters here in East Sussex upon shutdown, and what a story that would have been for the home driver and team. Alas, we return here in Apprentice Virtual for the season of spring, and how springy it is. We will now take a look at the tokens for this second race. We might as well just get through with that. Axperial spends 4. That is a big old haul. Gold Place spends 1 in the Shock Motorsports cars, neither for the Nacho Racing drivers. Then it's a good spend for Amwar Racing, 2 for Charlie and 1 for Hupov, and a better spend for Canis Virtuosi, 2 for each of their drivers. Axperial, as you'd expect him to, currently absolutely dominating the way out on his 4 token spend, but Quiche looks to slightly reel him in. Quiche with a fantastic lap to go up to second place. We may still yet see a surprise in this qualifying session. As for the team overview, Nacho Racing are out of tokens, but they don't care. They have confirmed their promotion to Journeyman Virtual for next season by virtue of winning the first round of the season in Silverstone, and the latest round of the season in Oulton Park. Other teams just behind. NASA Errors dropped down to 3rd in the championship, but with the 4 tokens spent today by Axperial, they could secure that second race win for themselves. That would also mean they are automatically promoted, and he looks very good to take pole position in this race, especially spending 2 tokens more than any other driver. Of course, there was some resistance face last race by Duel in the Nacho Racing car, but we'll see about it. That was 3v1. This is 4v2. He doesn't improve, but the key will be somebody like Quiche, who can't improve. Nobody behind. Wojtek gets pretty close, you know, but he doesn't manage it, and one by one they cross the line. They try to match him, they fail, and so will be Axperial on pole position for the NASA Aries team. He starts just ahead of Quiche, alongside him on the front row. Wojtek 1 position behind his teammate. I think they will be the main opposition towards Axperial today. They've got a pretty decent looking car, the Canis Virtuosis. They did a great double podium, finishing in these exact positions, 2nd and 3rd in that opening race of the season at Silverstone, the opening race of the playoffs even. Yeah, for a team that only won 1 race or even had 1 podium, that was Wojtek's win at the Lausitz Ring in AV Germany. They've done really well this season. They're going to look to try, if they can, to steal this race win off NASA Aries, because of course if Axperial does win this race, anything that happens in terms of points in the final 2 races, completely irrelevant. All the promotion spots have been sealed. Charlie will also look to provide a challenge just as he did in the first stint of last race. Gold Play starts alongside Pilatos in an all-shock motorsports row 3. Hupov, our P2 finisher last time with his first ever podium in virtual racing, starts 7th, and similar to last race we had this reversion of one of the best teams in the previous race, starting well down the order. Nandos in 8th and Duel in 10th, and my apologies, it was Nandos who won the last race, not Duel. Bubbles will start 9th, pretty much as he did last time out as well, but he will not be the NASA areas of focus in this race. So, as a final look at the overview, this is what the cars are looking like. The Canis Virtuosi looking pretty good with its 15 upgrades on the car, its 2 speed levels, its 5 accelerations, but will the NASA areas with no speed at this circuit? It will be really interesting to see how that car performs. I think their acceleration and grip almost more than make up for that, but that is all to be decided. As a final thing, we'll take a look at these updated standings, or at least they should be, and they are indeed. Duel is the championship leader in the World Drivers' Championship. Nandos moves up to 3rd position with that race win. Quiche still in 2nd. He can retake that Drivers' Championship lead to be the winning driver of the AV7 season of spring playoffs. The NASA Aries drivers tucked behind in 4th and 5th. Axperial with 4 tokens still to spend, on course to beat his teammate, so that would be really a big bolster of points that could see him go into the lead of the championship. And finally the constructors, where it all really matters. That is Nacho Racing, already promoted. They are out of the conversation on points. The reigning 4 teams at 36, 33, 31 and 26, so it is all very tight if it does go down to points. But NASA Aries, with their race win in Glasgow and their attempt at a race win here today, may just seal that promotion for themselves. Anyway, this is the final tokened race of this Apprentice virtual season. All of these drivers heading into their 8th and final tokened race. My gosh, good luck to them all. This is going to be quite something. Here we go then. For the penultimate race of the season, we are underway. Axperial starts on the soft compound tyre. That looks like very much the right choice. The acceleration will be really interesting here because the drivers who started at the very front of the grid actually get a really poor run into turn 1 because they just have to tuck into the inside with basically no beans behind the car at that stage. Wojtek already has taken 2nd place off his teammate, but they need to stop the infighting within Canis Virtuosi and focus their attention on the car ahead, of course, not just in the context of this race, which of course they would love to get as high positions as they can in, but they are the team that will be favourites to go through on points if they get a double podium here. However, that may all be worth absolutely nothing if they fail to beat the driver currently out in the lead of the race. The front 4 start on the softs. Gold Plays started on the hard compound tyres. Charlie looking to go right the way around the outside of the stadium section. Can't quite manage it, but now as they head up the Sussy Straight, if he can get a move here, going up the inside into the double right-hander, and it's a great overtake. Nandos will follow him through. These two have seen more than enough of each other over the course of this week, but they will see yet more as Nandos heads down the inside and he takes 6th place for himself. Axperial 8/10 of a second and 14th of a tenth of a second by the time he's done with that turbo, ahead of 2nd place Samahat. So these drivers, the Canis Virtuosis, they need to decide which one of them will be that driver that takes the initiative, that takes the race forward, because if they keep tripping over each other and taking sub-optimal lines to attempt to overtake, defend, battle and the like, then that will really start to cost them. Nando's still in 5th, Charlie in 6th. He's now holding up Gold Plays and Duel right behind him. Gold Plays just in there. If he can get a move up the inside, it's turn 1. He tries it. He forces his way through on the hard compound tyre as well. It looks like Samahat for the time being has been selected to be the lead Canis Virtuosi car, but we are merely 3.5 laps in. Oh, that could throw a little spanner into the works, but this team, this NASA Ares team, are not lacking at all in terms of grip, so it will be interesting to see. The wet conditions may just play to their advantage, which is something that you can see happen in the reverse with teams that have great speed and are able to get themselves into the lead, but as soon as the rain comes pouring down, they suddenly really start to struggle. That may not be the case with Axperial in this race, and that removes an element of unpredictability and means that your 4 token spend is a bit more safe and sound when it comes push to shove. Speaking of pushing and shoving, Nando's and gold play heading through that turn 3. 5th and 6th for them. Nando's still on the outside. Can he complete the move? Going all the way around the outside. A great right line that he takes through there, through the slightly banked top left hairpin. And he does manage to pull off that move. A wide hairpin it is, so you can take a lot of speed through it. These Canis Virtuosi cars are not making any progress on Axperial ahead, who on that last lap was a good second faster than the both of them and will continue to grow this advantage. Not even rain can disrupt him now because he is absolutely dominating within it. It will maybe take a miracle to see Canis Virtuosi not slip away here, but we see Quiche with a really nice move on his teammate. Samaha was the early leader out of the 2 Canis Virtuosis. He's still going to try and reclaim that, and Quiche had to just take a much wider line to not go sliding off the racetrack there. Keep in mind as well, we had lapped cars getting in the way at Oulton Park. That is a very narrow track. It has chicanes in which you can lose a lot of time, and it's also a very short track. This track is 10 seconds longer and is very wide, so that will not play as much of a part in deciding the fate of these drivers nearly as much as it did at Oulton Park. As we head just nearly onto the 8th lap of the race, and we'll do a little rundown of the order as the rain will decrease in its intensity. Axperial leads by pretty much a pit stop, to be honest. Samaha in 2nd, he's retaken that from Quiche. Pilatos up in 4th, and as a reminder of the tokens, it is Axperial spending 4, Samahat and Quiche each spending 2. So is Charlie, but he's down in 6th place at the moment. He's had a rough couple of races after what looked like some fantastic qualifying form in Oulton Park. And then his single token spends for Gold Plays, who is in 7th. Have I got this right? Gold Plays in 7th, and Hupov in 9th, spending single tokens. Meanwhile, the likes of Pilatos in 4th and Nandos in 5th are spending absolutely nothing. So is Duel in 8th position. So that is interesting to see. Samaha isn't gaining time. He's not necessarily losing. 37.18, 37.0. He is slightly, and I mean ever so slightly, gaining time. And you could see Axperial heading through the jungle section, the tropical section. Not really tropical, sort of quite nice actually. The walled section, let's call it, as Samaha was just coming through. I mean, this track is just incredible. There's so many different features to it. We'll do a lap on board with our race leader. We'll have a little look in with Nandos and Pilatos fighting back. You know, as you come through turn 1, again, it's sort of slightly off camber, so it can drop away from you on the exit. You've got to be really careful getting the power down before you get a very long straight. This corner tightens, then you just hit the apex. You've got the walled left-hander. This is almost flat, but you don't want to go touching either of those walls. Then it's a very wide open radius hairpin, a very banked corner, a high line there. Can you do you justice? We've got a straight of sorts, the sussy straight there, but it does have a couple of direction changes, kinks in it before you get the double right-hander leading to the back straight, and then this final corner, which you just have to skim as close as you dare to the wall on the inside. That is a lap of Broad Oak. Samahut in 2nd place behind our race leader, the Finn, looking for his first win since the final race of AV USA, in which he took victory at Watkins Glen. He also took victory at Long Beach earlier in that season, and he took a podium at the Circuit of the Americas. In this season, he's taking podium at Glasgow as well, and that was completely tokenless. So he has an amazing resume in Apprentice Virtual already, a plethora of podiums and wins, and this could be another to add to the collection. I think he makes for a very deserving journeyman virtual driver if things end as they are, and he will get that journeyman virtual spot. Samaha in 2nd place, and yeah, just not really close at all. It's a sort of 8-second gap. I mean, you'd need really unlucky timing for the rain to even bring Axperial back into this pack behind. We've got all these cars coming out of the pit lane now, so we might as well focus on this battle. Pilatos in 4th, Nandos in 5th, Charlie in 6th. Gold plays then Duel, Hupov and Bubbles, who pitted a lap earlier, but Hupov doing really poorly for his single token spend. So is Gold plays, in all honesty. 7th place, not good enough there. Charlie also a bit mid for his 2 tokens in 6th position. Nandos in 5th position with absolutely nothing spent, and so is Pilatos, which is slightly surprising, but I guess it does make sense that the Shock Motorsports with that extra speed upgrade for this double header is doing better. But still, you'd expect his token spending teammate to be at least potentially ahead of him. But we'll go for some tight action actually just down the field. Duel in 8th in a good duel with Hupov and Bubbles. Bubbles uses a bit of deploy there. Hupov uses a little bit more just to get away from him. Nearly slides into that very generous apron that we saw an amazing overtake from Nuno on Game of 15 back in Season 8. If you haven't seen it, go look it up online. You'll find clips of it everywhere. Positions changing here. Nando's guide up the inside on that final straight on Pilatos, but he gets a slightly suboptimal run through the final corner. Pilatos tries a bit of the boost, but nothing doing there. He might have a bit more luck with it down this back straight. Again, not much he can do. Experial now leads by 10 seconds. It's not quite the levels of Mr. Bubbles' dominance that we saw him winning by 21 seconds in Glasgow over the course of 19 laps. It was very impressive. But still, it is really quite something. Pilatos is still hunting down this 4th position, though. We'll see if he can get it. And yeah, this would secure NASA Aries their promotion and make Canis Virtuosi's really strong points per token, better than anybody else's. Especially considering, their car's pretty good, but they're not excellent in any areas. They're just sort of generally quite well rounded. But it would take a big surprise. But one of the things you have to say about this is, yes, it is admittedly, I think at least from the perspective of a Virtuals fan, a bit of a shame that the championship and the promotion race will be wrapped up before the final day, because you want to see a bit of that, last bit drama, even though you will get, of course, drivers racing for fun, pressures off them, final day out, nice sunny, whip around the Interlagos circuit in Brazil, even though that's not where we're racing, that's where we race for Ultimate Virtual Finale. Nice whip around Battersea at night, that's correct. Yeah, a nice evening in London, let's call it. But it is a shame to see it all wrapped up before then. At the same time, you do have to question these other teams, because the likes of Canis Virtuosi, Amwa, or Shock Motorsports, any of these teams could have put 3 or 4 tokens towards a race and known that that would secure them the win, and known that that would secure them, if not promotion themselves, at least stopping another team from just walking straight to that promotion. But it is these 2 very experienced team owners, as we do have Experial winning the Broad Oak A-Prix by a very comfortable margin, and that secures him and the NASA Aries team their promotion to Journeyman Virtual for next season. Wojtek Summerhut finishes ahead of his team at Quiche, just as it was in the opening race of the season. Great points for them, but they will be worth nothing. Charlie with a great run through the field at the end. He got both Pilatos and Nando's, who are battling over 4th all race long, and Charlie will go through and take those points. Gold Place finishes 7th. It was Jewel, comes across the line in 8th, and Hubov a disappointing 9th place. Bubbles last, putting the entire field in the NASA Aries sandwich. But he won't care one single bit, because they are guaranteed promotion to Journeyman Virtual for next season. To continue my train of thought, any of these teams, Shock, Canis or Amwon, could have put some significant tokens towards a single race and prevented these drivers. Of course, one of these teams, Nacho or NASA, may still win the finale, and that would have put them there anyways, but it is disappointing to not see the other teams go for it. However, that is what you get with these experienced team owners and Team 1. They knew what they were doing. They had this clear, concise strategy. They just went for it, and it worked. And that may set an example for AV teams in the seasons to come. They make those race wins a bit more competitive. Experial just ahead of Wojtek Summerhut in 2nd place, Quiche in 3rd, Charlie in 4th, then Pilatos and Nandos Good 5th and 6th. Gold plays ahead of Duel, Bebop ahead of Bubbles. Experial Montreal, he took the fastest lap, and he took pole position, which means 12 points, a clean sweep for him and the NASA Aries team, which likely, despite Bubbles' poor performance, probably would see them go up via points anyways, but the pressure is completely off for that final race at Battersea Park. These drivers will have one last chance to go out and prove their mettle and see, of course, earn their bonus points for finishing in the top positions in the championship, if any drivers from the non-promoted teams, if they can do that. But that is all for today. We have crowned our 2 promoted sides. Congratulations to Nacho Racing and NASA Aries as well. For now, goodbye.